Okay, I want you to picture a document. It's sitting on a desk, probably in some secure, windowless room. It's not a glossy magazine feature, and it's definitely not, a publicly available biography. It looks bureaucratic, almost clinical.
Sounds confidential, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Stamped confidential, and the title just reads, Secret Personality Profile. The subject is a man named Dr. Fu Hongwu.
Right.
And normally when we do a deep dive, we're pulling from interviews, public records, biographies. But this feels different.
It feels illicit.
It does. This profile, written by a man named Dixon Kinqade, it feels intrusive, like we've broken into a therapist's office and just stolen the file on the most dangerous person in the room.
And what hits you right away isn't just the secrecy of it, but the sheer scale of the personality being described here.
Yeah.
You aren't talking about a standard CEO or, a politician. Kinqade describes Dr. Wu in the terms that they're almost mythological. You get this immediate impression of mystery, of immense wealth, sure, but also this almost terrifying kind of majesty.
Majesty, that is such a specific and perfect word for it because it implies royalty, but not the, the ribbon-cutting figurehead kind of royalty. It's the old school, off with their heads kind.
Exactly, the kind with real, absolute power.
The profile paints him as a man who just walks into a room and the atmosphere compresses, the air gets thick.
You just have to shout.
No, doesn't have to wave a weapon around. He just is. And the whole premise Kinqade lays out is that this man views himself as a kind of shepherd for humanity.
Right.
While the rest of the world, if they knew the full extent of his operations, would almost certainly call him a criminal.
And that's the central tension we're going to be exploring, isn't it? We're looking at a man who exists in this superposition of genius on one hand and monster on the other, depending on your vantage point.
Yeah, depending on which side of his algorithm you end up on.
And our mission here, and this is really crucial for you listening, isn't to put him on trial. We aren't a jury.
No.
We are here to try and deconstruct the internal logic of a human being who has decided that the social contract, it just doesn't apply to him.
We want to understand the mechanics of that psychology.
Exactly. How does someone get to a place where they genuinely believe they're a distinct species from the rest of us?
Right. We're just taking the car apart to see how the engine works, even if we really don't like where that car is going. And Kinqade starts this whole teardown with a really interesting characterization. He labels Dr. Wu as introverted.
Which is, that's probably not what most people would expect.
Not at all. In pop culture, introvert means you'd rather stay home with a book than go to a party. It suggests a certain shyness or social anxiety.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't fit with this majesty vibe at all.
But you have to look at the psychological definition of introversion here, not the social one. Kinqade isn't saying Wu is shy. Far, far from it.
Okay.
He's saying that Wu is wholly concerned with his own mental life. He's self-contained. His energy is directed inward.
I see.
Think about it. A lot of powerful people are extroverts. They feed off the crowd's energy. They need the applause. They need that feedback loop to feel real.
They need the validation.
Yes. Wu is the total opposite. He's described as low-key deliberate. He doesn't need the room to validate him because in his mind, the room is completely beneath him.
So it's about the direction of his energy. It's inward facing. He's observing, he's processing, calculating, not broadcasting.
Precisely. And the profile then describes him as strong, powerful, commanding, and this is the key phrase, representing an opposing force to the social order.
An opposing force.
Think about what that really means. Most people, even rebels, are reacting to society. They're trying to change it or break it or maybe just fit into it.
They're defined by their relationship with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wu, according to this, stands like a monolith in a river.
Yeah.
He forces society to flow around him. It's a profound level of psychological independence.
It gives off this serious movie villain energy, but not the, the mustache twirling kind. It's the calm, terrifyingly rational villain, the one who talks so calmly that he makes you question if maybe he's the sane one and everyone else is crazy.
And that's the danger in a mind like his. But people aren't born as monoliths. You don't come out of the womb with a fully formed God complex.
No, you don't.
And Kincade's profile is very, very clear on this. This entire persona, it's a suit of armor. And it was forged in a very specific, very hot fire.
Which brings us to his origins.
Yes. Section 1 of this deep dive is what we're calling the origin of the armor. The profile describes his childhood environment with this one chilling phrase, a combative environment.
That's a euphemism if I've ever heard one. Combative environment. That could mean so many things. It could mean a literal war zone. It could mean, extreme poverty.
Or it could mean a household where psychological warfare was just the norm, the air you breathe. The implication, though, is a setting where all resources, we're talking safety, food, emotional support, everything, were zero-sum.
Meaning if I get something, you lose something.
Exactly. In a combative environment, if I win, you lose. If I show a moment of weakness, you immediately take what I have. So the key lesson Dr. Wu internalized as a child wasn't be kind or share with your neighbor.
No.
It was weakness is punished. The world is a predator, and you are either the teeth or you are the meat.
That completely rewires a developing brain. I mean, if you're a kid and you learn that every single time you cry, you get hurt, or every time you trust someone, you get betrayed.
You stop crying.
You stop trusting. You have to kill those parts of yourself just to survive.
And that is the tragedy that underpins the monster. It really is. The result of this trauma, the profile says, is a strong and potent self-presentation. He hides and denies all vulnerability.
Not some of it, all of it.
All of it. Because to Dr. Wu, vulnerability isn't just an uncomfortable feeling that you work through in therapy. It's a tactical error. It's a breach in the hull of the battleship.
So when we see this arrogance, this total refusal to seek approval from anyone, it's really a defense mechanism.
It is.
He doesn't want your approval because if he needs your approval, then he's giving you leverage over him. He's giving you a weapon.
That's the core of it.
Ooh.
He views the world as fundamentally, unchangeably hostile. So to navigate a hostile world, he decided he had to become an irresistible force.
Because if nothing can move you, nothing can hurt you.
But this goes even deeper than just being tough.
Yeah.
There's a deep, simmering resentment that the profile points to. There's this one quote from him. He says, "I did not ask to be born. Life was thrust upon me. So now I am here and I resent it."
Wow. That's such a raw statement. It's almost existential.
It is.
I didn't sign the contract for this life, so I'm not bound by its terms and conditions.
And that's the ultimate justification for all of his behavior. In his own mind, he feels he has had to work incredibly hard just to survive, to do things right, as he puts it, while he looks at the rest of the world and sees lazy, unappreciative people sleepwalking through life.
He looks at people enjoying the safety of society, a safety he probably never had, and thinks, you have no idea what it actually takes to keep the lights on.
And that fuels this profound sense of entitlement. He takes what he wants because he believes, on some level, that he's already paid for it in suffering.
Which segues perfectly into how he actually goes about taking what he wants. Because this isn't just a brute smashing, grabbing like a common thug. There's a system here.
Oh, there is a very precise system. The profile calls it the algorithmic approach to desire.
I love that phrase.
It's one of those fascinating sections in the entire Kinqade profile because it breaks down Dr. Wu's decision-making process into what is essentially a flowchart.
Right. Most people navigate desire emotionally. You want something, you feel that pang of longing, maybe you grapple with guilt, maybe you act on impulse.
Wu is automated. It's a protocol. It's code.
Let's walk through a hypothetical here just to see how this works in practice. Let's say Dr. Wu wants to acquire a piece of land. It belongs to a local family, it's been in their name for generations, but it's strategic for his business.
Okay.
He doesn't just send in the bulldozers on day one.
No, that would be inefficient. Crude. Step one of the algorithm is ask.
Just ask.
Just ask. He views this as a matter of honor and etiquette. He will approach the family, maybe invite them to tea, and simply state his desire and ask them to sell. I want this. Will you give it to me?
It's so deceptively civilized. Please pass the salt. Please sell me your ancestral home.
Exactly. But let's assume the family says no. Sorry, it's not for sale. Now he moves to step two, bargain.
Okay, so standard negotiation.
Right. He offers money, maybe a lot of money. Maybe he offers favors, a trade, a new property somewhere else. He tries to find a rational, mutually beneficial exchange. He's still operating within the bounds of what we would consider normal business.
But let's say the family stands firm. Sentimental value, whatever. No deal, Dr. Wu. This is the point where most people would walk away or maybe get angry and give up. But Wu does something else.
He engages in step three, calculation. This is the pivot point. The air changes.
This is where the mask comes off.
It is. He measures the intensity of his desire for that land against the potential consequences of taking further action. Is this land really worth the trouble? Is it worth the resources, the potential exposure? If the answer is yes, he then weighs force versus cunning.
So a cold, hard cost-benefit analysis of violence versus manipulation.
He asks himself, which method is most likely to succeed,
Yeah.
and just as importantly, which method costs the least in terms of time, money, and risk.
So what does cunning look like?
If he chooses cunning, maybe he uses a web of shell corporations to buy up all the surrounding land, cutting off their access. Maybe he digs into their finances and finds leverage, a debt he can acquire from a bank.
He buys a bank that holds their mortgage.
Something like that. If he chooses force, well, maybe the house tragically burns down in an electrical fire.
Right. And what happens if his chosen method fails? Let's say he tries cunning, he tries to trick them, and they see right through it.
This is what makes him so relentlessly dangerous. The algorithm has a loop. It's called recursion. He doesn't just stop.
He doesn't get frustrated and quit.
Never. If cunning fails, he loops back, he reevaluates and tries force. If force fails, maybe it's too messy, he loops back again, he tries a new form of cunning.
It's relentless. It's like a computer program trying to crack a password. It just keeps running combinations over and over and over.
But, and this is absolutely critical to understanding him, there is a terminate command in the code. The profile is clear. If both force and cunning fail repeatedly, he will retreat and analyze.
So he knows when to cut his losses.
Yes. He doesn't rage blindly until he destroys himself. He stops. He withdraws. He analyzes the defeat to find the root cause, to understand why he failed. Then he develops a new, better strategy, and when the time is right, he begins the loop all over again.
That discipline is what's truly terrifying. It's the difference between a madman and a mastermind. A madman burns the world down because he's angry. A mastermind retreats, learns why his matches were wet, comes back next week with a flamethrower.
And it all stems from this core philosophy of taking. Kinqade quotes him as saying, if you want something, you had best be prepared to hold on to it.
Wow.
That implies that ownership isn't a piece of paper from a courthouse. It's a capability. He believes that if you cannot physically or mentally protect what you have, your land, your money, your life, you have no fundamental right to it.
That is the might makes right argument distilled down to property law. If I can take it from you, it was never really yours to begin with.
And he prides himself on what the profile calls strategic flexibility. He actually prefers manipulation. He claims he learned the art of manipulation from observing women.
Interesting.
And he learned confrontation from observing men. And his guiding principle is never use a fist when all that's required is a smile.
It's all about efficiency.
It's pure efficiency. Why get your hands dirty? Why risk a messy conflict if you can just charm or trick someone into handing you the keys?
But let's be real. Sometimes the smile doesn't work. Sometimes the algorithm outputs force. And when Dr. Wu chooses force, we're not talking about a simple fist fight.
Right.
We are now entering what the profile calls the dark triad: anger, vengeance, and total war.
This is where the mask of the civilized gentleman completely slips, and we see the warlord underneath. The profile actually categorizes his triggers into 3 distinct tiers of response.
Okay.
First, you have minor offenses, things like bad manners, a lack of respect, breaches of etiquette.
Which, knowing his personality, could be something as simple as interrupting him or not showing what he considers the proper deference.
Oh, absolutely. For these minor slights, he prescribes re-education.
Re-education, that sounds ominous.
It does. Now, Kinqade doesn't explicitly detail what that entails, but given Wu's psychological profile, we can assume it's a form of humiliation. A sharp, calculated lesson designed to put you back in your place and remind you of the hierarchy.
So he embarrasses you, maybe financially hurts you in a small way? It's to make a point.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Then you have the second tier. Major offenses. We're talking about betrayal, actively interfering with his business.
Crossing a serious line.
For these, the penalty is death. And the profile notes something absolutely chilling.
Yeah.
He describes death as being generous.
Generous. How is death generous?
Because it's quick. It's clean. It ends the problem. And from his perspective, it ends the suffering of the individual who was foolish enough to cross him. It's a mercy.
Oh my God.
But there is a third tier, the ultimate punishment. And this is reserved for threats against what he calls his prized possessions.
We need to be really clear about what possessions means here. He's not talking about his art collection or his favorite car.
No, he is talking about people, his allies, his servants, his employees, and his physical domain, his home, his places of business. He is fiercely, fiercely possessive.
So he views the people in his inner circle not as independent human beings.
No, he views them as extensions of himself, as assets. To threaten them is to threaten his own body, his own being.
So if you go after someone under his protection, you don't get the generous death.
No. The profile quotes him directly. He says that is too merciful.
Yeah.
If you cross this ultimate line, he will not kill you. He will destroy you.
What does that mean?
He will systematically strip away everything you love, your assets, your reputation, your family, your sanity. He will make your entire world collapse around you. And the most sadistic part of it all, he will make sure you are left alive to watch.
That's the key distinction. He wants you alive.
He wants you alive and aware.
He prefers the psychological torture over the physical elimination, because if you're dead, you can't regret crossing him. You can't suffer.
Exactly. He wants you to sit in the ashes of your life day after day and know that he is the reason for it.
There's a quote in there, isn't there?
You want to meet the devil himself? Just piss him off. That's the quote. It speaks to a level of vindictiveness that isn't about business anymore. It's not about profit. It's about asserting his godhood. It is about him proving he has dominance over your entire reality.
It really highlights how he views himself in relation to the rules the rest of us follow. I mean, most of us get angry, but we don't systematically dismantle people's lives because, well, we're afraid of going to jail, for one, or because we have a conscience. Dr. Wu seems to have neither of those constraints. And this leads us directly to his holy idea, as the profile calls it, his complete rejection of law.
This is the intellectual engine that powers all the violence and manipulation. Dr. Wu has a very, very specific distinction he makes between right and wrong on one hand and man's law on the other.
And for him, they're not the same thing.
Not even close.
He's basically saying just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's wrong, and just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right, which, to be fair, is a philosophy a lot of activists and revolutionaries have held throughout history.
That's true, but the difference is intent.
Right. Wu isn't trying to improve society for everyone. He's trying to transcend it for himself.
The quote is, "When your laws are incorrect, it is my duty to disobey them." He believes he is on a quest for truth, and that truth is based on his own reason and logic, not on social norms or legal codes.
So if the law says, "Thou shalt not kill," but his logic says, "This person is a direct threat to my survival and operations," then
the law is incorrect. It is an obstacle. It's a flawed piece of code that needs to be bypassed.
And he backs this whole worldview up with a heavy, heavy dose of social Darwinism. He looks at history and basically says, just look at the scoreboard.
He argues that every empire, every king, every dynasty in the whole of human history got its power through one of two things: force or deceit.
Yeah.
He looks at the concept of the divine right of kings and just laughs at it. He knows that the first king wasn't appointed by God. He was just the guy with the biggest army who killed all of his rivals.
So he sees modern society, with its laws and its justice system, as just a polite, flimsy veneer over the same old bloody game.
Exactly. He believes the current social order is just the result of previous violence that has been legitimized over time.
Yeah.
So why should he be judged for using the exact same methods to build his own empire today?
Makes right.
He doesn't see it as a philosophy. He sees it as a law of physics.
He even drags biology into it, doesn't he? The whole humans as animals argument.
He does. He completely strips away the spiritual or moral dimension of humanity that most people believe in. He argues that man is, at his core, an animal, and nature does not have a separate set of laws for humans.
Does a lion apologize for eating a gazelle?
Is the lion evil? No. The lion is hungry, the lion is strong, the gazelle is weak. That is the only law that truly matters in the wild.
So when he destroys a competitor or manipulates a business partner, in his mind, he's just the lion. He's acting according to his nature. To call that evil is, to him, a category error. It's sentimental nonsense.
And this is precisely why he rejects religion. He views all organized religion as a tool of manipulation designed for the superstitious masses.
So it's a control mechanism.
It's a way for the weak to band together and try to control the strong by using concepts like guilt and sin. He knows the major religions. The profile says he's studied them all extensively, but he studies them like a hacker studies a firewall.
He wants to know how to exploit their weaknesses, not how to find salvation.
Precisely.
This unbelievably cynical view of the universe and history inevitably shapes how he sees the people around him today. If he's the lion, what does that make the rest of us?
We are the sheep. Which brings us to section 5, the shepherd and the sheep.
Of course.
His self-view is nothing short of grandiose. He sees himself as larger than the world, as superior, and fundamentally unconquerable. His entire justification for his actions can be summed up in one sentence: I do because I can.
Capability confers authority.
That's it. And his view of others is, well, let's just say it's not very flattering.
I'm guessing not.
He views the average person as inferior, weak, fearful, and foolish. But most importantly, the foundational belief he has about other people is that they are untrustworthy.
There's that quote. It's brutal.
At some point, every person you know will lie to you, betray you, or leave you.
My God, what a lonely way to live.
It's a projection of his own nature, perhaps, but it's also his ultimate shield. If you assume that everyone is a traitor in waiting, you never get blindsided. You're never disappointed.
And because he views people as sheep, he believes they secretly need a shepherd.
Yes, he rationalizes his control by telling himself that people actually want to be led. They are terrified of freedom, terrified of making their own decisions, so he is doing them a service by taking that burden from them.
So he's actually doing us a favor by ruling us. How benevolent of him.
In his mind, yes, it is. And he controls the sheep by exploiting their vices. He doesn't appeal to their better angels because he doesn't believe they exist.
No, he appeals to their manners, their envy, their greed, their pride, their vanity.
He sees these traits as handles, as levers he can pull to steer people in any direction he wants.
We mentioned the honey approach earlier, the quote, "You'll catch more flies with honey."
And that's exactly how he operates. He understands that if he is polite, if he flatters your ego, if he appeals to your vanity, you will lower your guard.
He builds a network.
He builds a network of loyal partners, not through genuine connection or friendship, but through calculated harmony. He feeds you exactly what you want to hear so that you will give him exactly what he wants to take.
It makes you wonder if he's ever had a single genuine interaction in his entire life. If every smile is a tactic, does the smile even mean anything anymore?
I think the profile strongly suggests that the answer is no. To Dr. Fu Hongwu, authenticity is just another word for vulnerability.
Okay, now, we have to navigate what is probably the most controversial part of Kinqade's entire profile. And I really want to reiterate to you listening, we are reporting on this worldview. We are not endorsing it.
This is crucial.
Because Dr. Wu's stance on charity and compassion is, well, it's a complete inversion of everything most of us are taught is good.
He calls it the evil of charity. Dr. Wu genuinely believes that charity and compassion are the greatest evil a society can commit.
Unpack that for us, because that sounds like something straight out of a comic book. I hate charity.
It goes right back to his core belief in social Darwinism. He believes that the human species is strengthened by struggle, by adversity.
Survival of the fittest.
Yes. If you are weak or foolish or lazy, natural selection dictates that you should fail. When society steps in with charity, with a social safety net to prop you up, he believes we are interfering with the natural order of things.
We're polluting the gene pool, in his view.
We are allowing the weak to survive and reproduce, which, in his cold biological calculus, weakens the entire species over time. It wastes the resources of the strong on propping up the inferior.
It's cold biological utilitarianism. He thinks he's saving the human race by letting individuals suffer and die.
Exactly. This leads to his personal motto. Kindness is cruelty, and cruelty is kindness.
Wow.
He believes that tough love, or just allowing people to hit rock bottom and face the consequences of their failures, forces them to either grow strong or be eliminated from the system. He sees himself not as cruel, but as a rigorous, necessary teacher.
But, and here's the twist, this is the thing that makes him a fascinating character study, and not just a one-dimensional caricature of evil. There is an exception.
There is one crack in this wall of ice.
Innocence.
Specifically, the innocence of children.
The profile says he sympathizes with children. He actually protects them.
Yes. For a man who believes so fervently in survival of the fittest, you would think he'd let weak or disadvantaged children perish just like anyone else. But he doesn't.
Why not?
He views children as the only true innocence in the world. They haven't been corrupted yet. They haven't learned to lie, to betray, to be cunning. They are pure potential.
And I have to think this connects directly back to his own childhood, back to that combative environment.
I absolutely agree. He looks at a child and he sees himself. He sees the person he was before the world destroyed him. He sees the innocence and potential that was stolen from him.
So protecting a child is, in a very strange, twisted way,
It's an attempt to retroactively protect himself. It's the only time his profound narcissism allows for a flicker of empathy, because he is literally seeing his own reflection in that child.
It's the tragedy buried under all of the gold and the violence, isn't it? He wasn't born Dr. Fu Hongwu, the monolith. He was made.
He was forged.
He learned confrontation from men. He learned evil from evil men. And at some point, he simply decided that if he was going to be forced to play a game that was rigged by evil men, he was going to win it.
He chose to become the apex predator rather than the prey. It's a choice many trauma survivors face, though very, very few take it to this kind of extreme.
So we've looked at the man, his methods, and the madness behind it all. What's the end game? What does success even look like to a man like this? And of course, he has a formula for it.
It is a perfectly logical chain that he uses to derive the entire meaning of life. It is his secular catechism.
Let's trace it. Where does it start?
It starts with information, raw data. Information, when it's processed and organized, becomes knowledge.
Okay, that makes sense. Information to knowledge.
Knowledge, when it's applied effectively, becomes intelligence.
Got it.
Intelligence, over time and with experience, leads to understanding. A deep understanding of the mechanics of the world and the people in it leads to wisdom. And wisdom. What does wisdom give you?
It always comes back to power.
It always comes back to power. And what is power? Power equals control.
Control over your environment, over people, over your own destiny.
Exactly. And what is the ultimate purpose of control? To Dr. Wu, control equals freedom.
The freedom to do what?
The freedom to fulfill any desire. The freedom to never be told no. The freedom to never again be at the mercy of another person or a hostile system.
So the final equation is freedom plus control equals happiness.
Therefore, success is simply the measure of how often you get what you want. It's a binary metric. Did I desire X? Did I acquire X? If the answer is yes, I am successful. If the answer is no, I have failed, period.
This is the ultimate ends justify the means philosophy.
Entirely. He doesn't care about the journey. He doesn't care about the ethics, the morality, the bodies he had to step over to get there. He only cares about the destination.
The profile has that note. If he gives you a gift.
Don't ask how I got it.
Because the answer is probably. I used the algorithm. I tried asking. I tried bargaining. They failed. I ran the calculation. I used cunning. It failed. So I used force. It worked. Here is your gift.
And he expects you to just smile and say thank you.
This has been heavy. It's rare we get a look into a mind that is this disciplined and at the same time this profoundly dark. But when you step back and you look at the synthesis of Dr. Fu Hongwu, it's just a paradox.
It really is.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have a man of what the profile calls refined class. He appreciates beauty. The text says he loves fine art, classical music, the beauty of nature. He is an admirer of the human female form.
He isn't some mindless brute living in a cave. He has taste. He has culture. He has refinement.
But on the other hand, he's a connoisseur of psychological destruction. He can admire a priceless painting 1 minute and then calmly order the complete and total ruin of a family the next without his pulse even rising.
He's compartmentalized his humanity to the point where it's practically non-existent.
He has connected his own survival so deeply to his ruthlessness that he can't untangle them anymore. He believes the world is a slaughterhouse, and he made a conscious decision to be the butcher rather than the cattle.
But think about the cost of that choice. And this is where we really have to look at the existential void that this creates for him. He believes life has no inherent meaning.
No heaven, no hell, no karma, just this.
Just this. And so he is creating his own heaven on earth, a heaven fueled entirely by his own desires. Everything on this earth, he says, is here for my benefit and pleasure.
That is his final defining thought.
But here's the question. Is that ultimate freedom? Or is that the ultimate prison?
That is the question Kinqade really leaves us with at the end of the profile. Dr. Wu claims to be a shepherd, but a shepherd is, by definition, a solitary figure.
He can't relate to the sheep.
He can't. He can only use them, or guide them, or eat them.
Yeah.
He is entirely and completely alone in a universe that he views as being populated entirely by thieves and liars.
He can never have a true friend, because a friend implies equality, and he sees no one as his equal.
He can never have a true partner because a partner implies trust, and he trusts no one.
He has locked himself inside a golden tower of his own making.
He has conquered the world, but in doing so, he's made it impossible for him to ever truly live in the world. He's a ghost haunting his own vast empire.
And that's the thought I think we should leave you with. We often look at immense power and wealth and we think, that's the dream. But Dr. Wu shows us the nightmare version of that dream. Where does that line between survival and cruelty actually lie? And at what point does protecting yourself from the world cost you the very thing that makes life worth living?
It's a difficult and probably unanswerable question. But looking at the portrait of Dr. Wu, I think we can see what happens when the answer goes horribly wrong.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. It was a dark one for sure, but sometimes you have to look into the abyss to really understand the light.
Indeed.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Stay curious.